So Janie, thanks for talking with us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Um, I am Janie Katz-Christy, and I am 52 almost. I think I have another month till I'm 52, and I live in North Cambridge. With my husband and 3 kids, who range from almost 8 to 12 and a half. 2 girls and a boy.
Great. And what sort of work do you do?
I'm an architect, but right now I'm running something called the Green Streets Initiative, which is a grassroots nonprofit whose signature event is our monthly Earth Days of Transportation called Walk Ride Days. They happen on the last Friday of every month, and we encourage people on those days to wear something green and to use green transportation, to leave their cars at home and walk, bike, use bus, train, any kind of combinations of those things, and to celebrate. And it's been a really interesting thing. We started it 3 years ago.
Fantastic. So your family is a bikey family.
We do bike, yeah. We are car free as of a year and almost a half ago. Yeah, we got rid of our car. We loaned it to someone, and then we ultimately sold it on January 1st of the year before last.
So how's the transition been? Was it tough, easy?
Really interesting. You had asked me before what got us to give up our car, and we had been. I guess my husband and I used to be cyclists, and loved that aspect of living here, that you could bike around. But we both did have cars and used them. Then when we got together, we kind of narrowed down to one car. And over the years, and then we had kids, and when you have kids, we found ourselves driving our children to exercise classes, which all of a sudden seemed crazy. But when we had one child, we could bike her on the back. When we had 2, we for some reason didn't feel comfortable with a burly, so it took us a while to figure out what to do. Now I think I should have felt comfortable with a burly, because they seem like they make a lot of sense.
So a burly is a trailer.
A burly is a trailer where you can put 1 or 2 kids behind you riding a regular bicycle. So when we had 2 kids, we were in Rehoboth Beach once, and we were looking around at we rented a Surrey where we could ride as a family. And as we were doing that, we were thinking, why aren't the streets just busy with all kinds of alternative vehicles like that? And we really still don't understand why not. But when we got back, we found we were looking for someone to build us a Surrey like that, to tie together our 2 10-speed bikes and ride our family around. We met an amazing bike designer, or a special purpose vehicle designer, and he built for us a tricycle where we rode 2 kids in the front in bucket seats, and it was kind of like a Mary Poppins mobile, and it transformed our life.
How do your kids feel about biking around town?
They love biking. Sometimes they rebel a little bit and want to walk, but they never rebel and want to drive. Often I've given them choices about driving or even carpooling, and they will go places with friends, but they never want me to rent a car, or I've rarely used Zipcar. In fact, I used it once to pick up a compost bin because our tricycle wasn't working very well. But
and Zipcar is a service where it's a subscription service where you can rent a car by the hour, more or less.
Exactly, yeah. So, and I think I rented it once last year. My mother died, and we rented a car to go to her funeral. Later we realized we actually could have even taken a train for that. So it's been a complete pleasure, I think. It makes every trip an adventure. My kids are the sustainers in this, because sometimes I'll be looking at the rain from inside the house, or feeling a little daunted, and they're not. They're really into it.
And kids are good about keeping you honest that way.
Yes, yeah. I think that in a way, we teach them somehow to be a little bit more hypocritical than they are to start with, and you try to hold back from doing that. But yeah, they see the logic, in terms of climate change too. It's no hardship to us to go green, and it feels very rewarding and satisfying to know that we're just not contributing in terms of driving. You know, it doesn't seem like any. Sometimes I weigh, is this trip worth it? You know, would it be worth it to me to put that bubble of CO2 into the atmosphere just for me to go to blank? And generally it's not. I mean, I have taken public transportation or bike to Newton. I go to a hairdresser in Newton that I've gone to for 30 years. That's something I have to go to. And it's a pain to get there a little bit, but it's been a real adventure and really nice.
So what advice could you give an average mom or an average family if they wanted to start moving in this direction?
It's really fun. A lot is about the equipment. I think it's been fantastic for us to have the tricycle. I think a Burley would have been a great investment, and even now that I don't have little kids who would fit in it, I'm tempted to buy a Burley. We want to pass our tricycle on to someone else who needs something like that for kids. It's a little, we use it for gardening, but we could use something else for gardening probably, and it seems like a little bit of a waste of this beautiful vehicle to keep it for ourselves. So we're thinking about, it's actually in the repair shop getting its brakes fixed, and you know, we're thinking about passing it on. So I think a lot is in the equipment. Sometimes bike equipment might seem daunting, but it's an investment, but you use it for years and years and years. You know, it's a couple tanks of gas maybe, whatever you're considering. So just, you know, get yourself outfitted. I think having rain pants is, my kid's teacher introduced me to rain pants, which I'd never known about or thought about, but they were required for a camping trip that my daughter was going on in 4th grade, and her teacher had them, and her teacher bikes everywhere year-round. And so I think having the right stuff is the key.
Great.
Oh, one other thing, I guess, in terms of biking in the city, I would say be assertive. Do not bike in the car door lanes. You are a vehicle and you have a right to the road, and exercise it. You know, the more of us who are out there and visible and proud, the safer we'll all be. So, you know, it's this, every step you take, every ride you take, you know, we're building the community that we want to have here. So enjoy it, you know, get out and pretend that you live in Copenhagen. I guess, so about what you can do in your communities, I think that one thing to remember is don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect season, the perfect weather. Take a baby step. With what we did with Walk Ride Days was we wanted to include everybody, even, so we created a new, the way we see it is it's a new holiday. It's an Earth Day for transportation, but it's a party that we want everyone to be part of. So even if you don't go green that day, we want you to feel like, hey, it's Walk Ride Day, you know. It's a day even to think about how you might go green. I think baby steps are really important to take, and being inclusive. When we do celebrate Walk Ride Day in a school, for instance, we stamp every kid's hand. We have these little hand stamps that we make. We stamp everyone's hand. We want everyone to be part of it because it's part of our whole community. So I guess there are many reasons that people want to go green: environmental, public health, personal health, community building, local economic reasons. You tend to shop more locally if you're on a bike, and you know your neighbors a lot more, and you know your smaller retailers really well. And so I guess, you know, everything that you do builds this community that you live in. And I guess the thing to keep in mind is that you have a lot of power, and there are a lot of people who are just like you. So be proud of what you feel and just get out and do it. Yeah, just do it, and you will learn as you go.